Hi folks, with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about this is the ideological insanity and indoctrination in the education system, and this in this instance senior high school. So some friends of ours were sort of at a barbecue with some people we know, like the weekend barbecue type thing, and the mother proudly announced that the daughter had won and she's like 16 or 17, senior high school daughter, had won the high school prize for history prize for her essay on slavery. And so none of these people know that I do these videos, nor do I talk about it. They're all pretty woke, these folks. So I'd be persona non grata if I made a point of showing my feelings about things. But so I feigned in. Well, no, I didn't. I was interested. There was no feigning of the interest. So I thought, well, wow, it's high school prize one, and the daughter's there, and congratulations, and oh, what an honor it is. And so I overplayed it. And could I see it? And could I see this wondrous document that's and unfortunately the parents, beamed with sort of pride in their daughter and delight, and the mother in particular, and the father only slightly less, interestingly, is looking at the daughter. They're so proud of her achieving. She's a real social justice warrior. She's fighting back against the Nazis, and she's gonna bring change. We need change. We have to bring change. What has to be changed? Well, fuck, I don't know. We just change. Sounds good. So anyway, the daughter, equally wanting to sort of bask in the glow and the glory, brings the essay out. So anyway, so I get to have a look at it, and there was a sort of a hushed, reverential sort of silence as they waited for me to go, oh, isn't it wonderful? So I felt duty bound, to ooh and ah over it. But the reality is that, and this is an indication what they're teaching in history, it was shot through with so many fucking errors that it was just beyond belief, which is about the standard, by the way. And I've noticed this a number of times previously, that essays and so on in any sort of sociology type subject, anything that isn't straight mathematics or straight physics or chemistry or something, has been infected with wokeness. And really, you've got to talk ideologically. The talk is all ideological, and you begin from a very prejudicial position. All white people are bad. All white societies are bad. They all did bad things. And that's the so as long as your narrative fits into that, then it's kind of okay. And really, any lie or untruth or factual error, the facts kind of don't matter anymore. We all know that white people and white societies are evil and bad, Nazis. We all know that, so we don't need to look at that. So as long as you make things up and make up stories of, white people transported 10 million slaves to America, and there'd never been slavery ever in human history. It's white people that did it, and there's 10 million. No, it was 100. No, it was 1 billion. No, it was 1,000 trillion people was there, and all the slaves died on the way, and they were killed by Nazis. And really, you're reading this and going, "Holy fuck! Do they teach this crap?" And I think the students must have got the hint that they've got to outdo themselves. That, on the ships that were going to the Americas with slaves, they were all crewed by the captains of the ship were all Hitler. All of them were Hitler. Hitler captained every ship. And then the next did, actually, the whole crew was Hitler. Every crew of every ship was Hitler. And the people that sold, the white and the people in America, it was Hitler too. And there was Hitler everywhere. Hitler, ah! And so they create this ridiculous narrative that bears no resemblance to reality. So the essay effectively said that there was no slavery, never existed. until white people came along and did it. And the ships that transport are so brutal, and nearly all the slaves died. So, that's the evil brutality of evil, Hitler and so I asked, wow, they all died. Yeah, all the slaves died. All the slaves died because, there was 1,000 slaves for every square inch of it, and they killed them all, the Nazis. And so the emotion that's going into the narrative that isn't even vaguely true or accurate, or so I asked the dumb question, which almost caused me problems. By the way, I almost got into trouble for this. So, okay, well, if all the slaves died on the way to America, how come there are descendants of slaves there today if they all died? And why did sort of over 1 million make it there if they So that was, well, if they all died, how come there's any black people there at all? And this was, again, it's so ideological and so tunnel vision that the girl blushed. I mean, she, as if like she knew she'd been caught out. So really, at another level, deep down, she knows it's all lies. She knows it is, but this is what she has to do to get approval. All her friends are going to say, "Why aren't you so progressive?" And the teacher gives her 3 gold stars and a prize. That she gets called up in front of the school saying, "Well, here's Billie Jean, and she's done a brilliant essay on brilliant essay on slavery, and it just goes to show how much more work we have to do to fight Hitler." And so all this woke insanity is being pushed, and this is used to validate it. So what Billie Jean has learned, provided I tell a lot of lies and hate on white people, I'm going to get lots of rewards. I'll get awards, I'll get prizes, I'll get promotions, I'm going to get invited to. So she gets invited to speak at some fucking book club and so on. So she's revered as some genius with huge insight into the evils of just how bad white people are. But really, she's been selected as a propagandist. Oh, we've got someone who can hate whitey. So I think they've gone to legitimize her and give her some sort of underwriting type credibility that otherwise she wouldn't have. She's not that bright, the girl. So nor is she a beauty queen. So maybe her only sort of way of getting ahead is going to be say, "I hate all white people, all white men are Hitler." Maybe that's going to be the only card she's got to play in her life, which is rather sad. But just in the essay, so there was no such thing as slavery ever in human history, and it's only white people did it, and it was only the good progressive, rainbow flag people that got the slavery stopped. Otherwise, never would have been stopped. But what about William Wilberforce? The name of William Wilberforce isn't even mentioned in an essay about slavery. So it isn't even mentioned. The British Empire, put a lot of effort into stopping slavery. Now, when the British started to put a lot of effort into stopping slavery, it was about the same time as the Industrial Revolution was kicking off. And the slavery industry, particularly where slaves had been descended from original slaves, so you weren't having to pay the cost of transport and so on. So where slaves were reproducing, which was primarily in the Americas and, of course, the Caribbean, South America to some extent, Brazil, for example. Slaves, particularly slaves that were reproducing through procreation in situ, like as in on the plantation, that was viewed as a serious commercial competition to machinery. That was the only method of labour that was cheaper than machinery and mechanization, industrial revolution, and so on. So this is one of the key reasons why the British put such effort into stopping slavery. There were wider economic reasons. Sure, there were moral reasons, and that's fine. Particularly the rise of modern Protestant ethics. So that was there, no question. But equally there was this idea of removing competition to machinery, and the only competition that they saw with the efficiency of machinery was the cheapness of slave labor. So that was very much part of the thing. Anyway, she didn't mention that. I doubt she was ever, she clearly hasn't thought about it. She just parroted anti-white hatred. Really, that's all. And she's a white girl, by the way. Parents are white. Now, the dad is he's reasonably senior in the public service, and the mother works kind of part-time for an organisation, like an NGO type group, which is as you can imagine, super anti-Western, anti-white, and they've inherited quite well. So they live in a house that's got to be pushing five. In fact, I'll have to look it up. It's got to be pushing $5 million, $6 million, as far as I can tell. So they're living a very wealthy lifestyle in relative terms. The daughter's, she's got all designer label clothes. She's got top of the range iPhones and Apple, computers, and she's got everything. She gets. She goes to a school and private school, and she gets all the excursions, international excursions, all paid. So she's living a relatively luxurious life. They've got this massive solar array on the roof. Fuck me, I'm surprised the house doesn't collapse under it. But they got electric cars and everything like that. So they're very much at the cutting edge of woke in many different ways. But the thing that sort of got me is that, the parents are a little bit younger than me, but not much. When I went to school, if you got a fact wrong and I did history, if you got a fact wrong in your history, you get pulled up about it and say, Billy Bob, I would have given you for example, I would have given you a 10 out of 10 for your essay, but you got the dates wrong here, you got the names wrong there, and you got that wrong, so I'm going to give you 7 out of 10. Your facts must add up. Put forward any argument you want, but the facts must stack up. And this caused me, and I assume anyone that went through the education at that time, to realise that when you make an argument, all white people are evil. You've got to back it up with facts, hard facts, and this forces a certain honesty upon you, because you can make up any story you want, but as soon as you start inventing facts, omitting them, or doctoring them to support the bullshit conclusion that you want to pursue, then you're being dishonest, and that. And so in history, certainly I was taught, at least, and again, beginning in high school. But even back in time, you go to college, you had to back up what you were claiming or asserting. That's all changed. This idea you got to back up your assertions by facts. You just back it up with ideology. Don't back it up with anything, really. Just pursue the ideology and just make up the most hair-raising and ridiculous tales to do this. So she's in the essay. She's got how the crew would get female slaves and would use them as sexual concubines the whole way. But Holly, you just said the slaves were dead. What they're having sex with dead slaves? I mean, is that necromancy? I could have pulled the essay to pieces. If the essay had come to me for grading, I would have given it a 0. It was that bad, and just ridiculous things that claims were being made that were beyond absurd, and 100 years out of 100 years out of time. So she'd be citing an event that happened, in 1855, for example, or in the 1850s. But she would cite it that it happened in the early 1700s, hundreds of years out of date and out of alignment. The whole essay was rubbish. So the idea that anyone will get a prize for that is certainly nothing scholastic or academic or anything of the sort in it. Now, I had to tread carefully, because if I applied facts and pointed out facts to her, even just pointing out, well, how can you say all the slaves died en route due to the wicked, evil brutality of Whitey, but then there's millions of slaves today that are descended. You can't have both. And I didn't say, I said it rather, I just asked, how could there be one? How can you cite this, but then this is a reality? Even then, she blushed. She knew, and again, she knew deep down that the essay was bullshit. And I noticed that the parents, because the mother particularly, became uncomfortable. So I backed off quickly, because I wanted to keep the the dialogue going. I didn't want the essay sort of pulled out of my hands. I wanted to read the rest. But it's the biggest load of nonsense and crap and trash and garbage that I've seen. But we need to understand, not only are the parents proud, they're standing by, and they would have done history roughly the same time that I did it. So they went to a better school than I went to, a more expensive school. So they probably would have got a better education than I got in terms of the quality of the teachers. Now, whether they did as I did and did a lot of extra reading outside of the course material, that I don't know. But the girl knows it's the essay is bullshit. Deep down, she knows it's bullshit. She knows she made up a lot of ridiculous things and got rewarded for it simply because she was on board with the ideology of hate biting. The parents also know. I'm pretty sure they also know it's bullshit, but they don't care. Little baby girl got an award. She's being lionized as a social justice warrior and a progressive thinker, and she's fighting Hitler, and The dad's a public servant, so he's sort of immersed in that sort of ideological nonsense all day. So is the mother with the NGO thing she's got going. So really, their entire existence is based on a lie, a series of lies, lots of lies, absolute lies, total untruths, no factual reality at all in their lives. But they go, okay, so it's all right then. To their point of view is, okay, so I'm living a life of fantasy. How many people are living in a $6 million? How many people have $310,000 worth of motor car in the driveway? How many people have? Okay, so I'm living a fantasy world, but it's a very rich, very privileged fantasy world where I have all the toys and trinkets I could ever wish, and so on. So there's a number of angles you can come at here, but I was surprised that not necessarily that those sort of essays are getting awards or prizes or are put up as being the ultimate in progressive thought of our times, but it had so many factual errors, so many lies. That's it. So what if she goes to become a journalist? Then to her way of thinking, lies consistent with the ideology are perfectly acceptable, if not desirable. If not, you will be richly rewarded for it. You've been with Tassos today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.